Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Danny, and today Great.com talks with Michelle Hodgins, the coordinator of communications and philanthropy at Youth Central. If you haven't heard of it, its mission is to empower youth to find and build their communities. Remember, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Now, hi, Michelle, and welcome.
Hi,
It's a pleasure to have you here today, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining.
thanks for
Uh,
having me.
it's really, really something to talk about the challenges that your youth are facing in Canada right now, right? You're in Calgary, is that right?
Yes, we're located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Probably the largest international, if most people would know it because we have an international airport here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
But how did Youth Central begin? What is the genesis story here?
it's a good question. So, Youth Central has been around for 31 years. It's transformed over that time period, but a lovely woman named Penny Hume, our founder, when she was raising her children in Calgary in the 90s, she thought we need to make the city more welcoming, more inviting, and more engaging for young people, for children and young people. So when the organization began, it was called Child Friendly Calgary. And so this is a time before the internet. This is a time before social media. This is a time, when young families and children and young people are really relying on word of mouth to understand what's a safe space, what's a welcoming space for young people. So Penny Hume started Child Friendly Calgary, and the biggest initiative at its roots was a business accreditation program that different businesses and organizations could get certified as child friendly. Shortly thereafter, she set her sights on engaging young people in a really active way to try to get them to participate in their community. So she connected with a group called YVC America. YVC is located in Kansas City, and they have different affiliate organizations all over North America. So we are actually the second largest YVC site in North America. So what YVC is it's the Youth Volunteer Corps. So this is a program where organizations come together to put a whole bunch of different volunteer opportunities, and then youth can come and take those opportunities to get back to their community. So Youth Central, Child Friendly Calgary became Youth Central over the years as we had established a welcoming city for young people. We set our sights on focusing on that 12 to 18 age range. You can actually see that Calgary is the first child-friendly city. It used to be a Trivial Pursuit answer, which is kind of a fun fact. Yeah. Anyway, so they started looking at this niche of positive, proactive programming for young people when they're outside of school hours. And so the Youth Volunteer Corps is our largest program, but it is also reflective of the work that we do, which is just empowering young people to get to know their communities, to get out there, to give back, to get to know each other, and to feel like they matter. And obviously to do all of the good that volunteering does.
I think this is quite important when we think about next generations, right? Rebuilding this concept of community and kind of updating it. And that kind of makes me think of what are the challenges that this youth that you're working with mainly face, what are the most pressing ones, and how is this possibility of building a community is affecting them?
Yeah, I think, the thing is that it's relative to the generation. So over the 31 years that Youth Central's been around, there's been different challenges, but they all come back to the same place. So, whether it's worries about the environment, or worried about people experiencing homelessness, or worried about, fair and equitable inclusion of different, demographics in the population. A lot of it is that youth have such ideas about how they can make the world better, how they can make, their lives better, how they can, make their community better and uplift it. And I think that's true, whether you're located in Calgary or you're located in England or you're located in the States. Um, it's it's that they have ideas and they're not jaded the way that many of us are as we grow older. We've tried and we've failed, and we've tried again, and there's beautiful wisdom there. But with youth, they really have that enthusiasm and they're excited. And so the challenge for them, the thing that they lack, is the power to feel like they are making headway, to feel like they have a platform that is welcoming them and saying, hey, tell us your ideas. Let's use like our social cred to like get you connected. Let's use our platform to make your voice even louder. Let's send it farther. Come to us. Don't spend all of your energy, trying to find the right thing out the gate. Come to somebody who knows a lot of the different initiatives that are going on in your community. Get connected, and then you can go through our database and you can just pick and choose what you want. So I think time is a challenge for youth. And the internet is so saturated with information, it can feel really overwhelming where to start. You want to do something, but you don't really know what. You definitely want to be with other people. A challenge facing youth, no matter where you are in the world, is you want to be with other youth. You don't want to be alone, right? So I think for our youth here, the challenges that we try to address is that we inherently believe that they matter. We welcome them to a safe space, and we are so well connected in the community with other organizations that they can come to us as a one-stop place to get going, to just get started, to take that first step, and know that there's somebody backing them that's going to help them to succeed.
I think this is amazing, especially from the perspective that when you were young, you're really lost in like to really get information, how to find your path, because there are so many pressures from all around, like school and your parents and your friends. So having like this central, it's really
Yeah.
something helpful, and using that to learn more about the programs that you offer. I wanna hear it from you. I have my highlights, but I wanna hear from you about the structure, because I feel like you cover some ground. It's not just about talking about volunteer programs. There are other things going on, right? So how do you act really?
Youth Central offers 8 different programs, but I'll talk a little bit more about our first one, the biggest one, the Youth Volunteer Corps, just because it kind of sets the stage for our values that run across the organization, and gives you a better idea about how it works here in Youth Central and what makes us different. So again, like the true value that Youth Central delivers, the reason that young people come to us and the reason that organizations trust us and partner with us is that we deliver connection, right? It's what everybody wants. Youth don't want to be volunteering on their own. They want to be volunteering with friends. And organizations want to know that they're getting connected with youth who are genuinely interested to be there. And youth want to know they're volunteering with organizations who actually want them to be there and trust them to do a good job. So the Youth Volunteer Corps, we have 1,600 youth registered in that program right now. And what it is you come to Youth Central, you say, I want to volunteer. You click a button and it takes you to basically a profile, right? So you fill in your information. We require a level of guardian consent. So we ask all the basics, your name and your city, your location, all that. And once your consent form is up, it's free to join. Once you're accepted, which takes a couple of days, you can see hundreds of volunteer opportunities. So I like to explain it that it is a database because it can be hard to picture, like, what do we mean? But it's like they log in, they go, what are the projects happening in February? And they scroll down and they have a look and they say, oh, I like working with animals. Like, I will volunteer for this project. It's on Saturday from 2 to 5. Right. And then they sign themselves up. They can see, what the activity is, how long they'll be there, where it's located, all of this stuff. Say they're, really passionate about working with elderly people. Maybe, they have to walk to a volunteer project because, they don't have access to a car. Maybe they're only 15 and they want to volunteer with seniors. There's a seniors location in their community. They can volunteer for that because they know they can walk there. So really what it is it's a database, and we work with over 90 organizations in Calgary who we are partnered with. So those organizations are typically nonprofits, but not always. Sometimes it's a festival or a run. But everything from like civic engagement to, you know, working with young children at summer camps to putting on like a beautiful Christmas experience at Heritage Park, which is it's a heritage park here in Calgary. Yeah, there's really a huge range. So the nice thing about volunteering with Youth Central is that you sign up online, it's free to join. You can see hundreds of volunteer opportunities. There's a huge range. There's new ones posted every month. So the youth are always volunteering in a group. I think the minimum is 8, sometimes multiple groups. And then for each group of youth, there's a paid staff member. So that person, we call them a team leader. But basically what they are is they're part-time staff. They're first aid certified and trained, and they act as the conduit between the youth and the agency. So let's say that you have a project at the Calgary Zoo where the youth are coming. This is an old one, but you know, they were helping feed popcorn to elephants before the elephants got moved. The team leader is responsible to get to that project before the youth show up, to welcome them all, make sure everybody is there. They reach out to them a few days before the project to make sure, you know, they're dressing for the weather, you know, that they know where they're getting dropped off. They'll lead like an icebreaker activity so that all of the youth, because they come from all different areas of the city. I mean, I'm not sure how it is in your city, but in our city, it's really spread out. Like suburbia, you know, people can be in all different places. And one of the, you know, challenges I didn't mention, but for youth, is that you're really kind of stuck in your spot. And public transportation in Calgary, you know, they're working on it. They're working on it. And we try to have projects that are accessible by public transit, but it is so great when you can go volunteer with a bunch of young people who are in a similar age bracket, but maybe they don't go to your school and they don't live in your community. And so you can connect with like-minded youth from all over the city. So then they volunteer together. They do whatever the project is, whether it's, you know, serving lunch at the Salvation Army, or, you know, packing gifts, you know, for families in need at the holidays. There's lots of different projects. That team leader is there. They're responsible for the group of youth while they're there. So that's the thing that makes it different. The agencies know that they can trust that there's a paid staff member of ours who is responsible for the youth. And what that means for them is many of the agencies who partner with us are willing to give volunteer projects to people who are maybe below the age they would typically accept a volunteer. So as you may know, lots of places that only want people to volunteer maybe over the age of 16, right? But the beauty of people who are, you know, between 12 and 18 is a lot of them don't have jobs yet. A lot of them have, you know, free time. And they're looking to get busy just to get experience, to get some skills, to get out there. So, you know, they can sign up with us. Their parents know that they're safe. They know that this is a vetted project with a reputable organization. They know that there's a paid staff member there to take care of anything that should happen. So that the young people don't have to worry about, you know, being awkward with the agency contact, if that's a concern of theirs, right? They just talk to the team leader. So in this situation, having that middle person is just very key. So it gives you a setup. Our different programs are different, but that's kind of the main thing, is that you can come, you sign up on a database, you can see hundreds of projects. And the other thing I think that really connects with the time, which is a challenge for youth, is that you can volunteer as much or as little as you want. Like, you want to volunteer over the holiday break because you have time? Great. You know, maybe you volunteer 5 hours, maybe you sign up for a camp and you volunteer 25 hours. Maybe you don't volunteer again until summer, right? Because that's what works for your schedule. Maybe you're the kind of youth who's really looking to build their resume because you know you want to get some experience working towards like a longer cause. If that's the case, you might join one of our other programs that has a youth committee attached to it. In those situations, those youth apply to join a group committee. They have different focus areas, but they'll be working with the same group of young people every 2 weeks, all year from September until June. So it's just a different way, right? As opposed to that one-off, maybe you want to, you know, spread your 40 hours out over the school year because that's more balanced for you. You can do that. Yeah, so that's sort of the thing. I think youth come to us because our programming is really flexible, it's really approachable, it's relevant. They're going to get credit for it, like we keep track of all of their hours for them. So when it comes time to applying for scholarships or awards or post-secondary or just to get a job and say that you have experience, we'll provide that as well.
Well, if I can add like 2 words to this list that you just gave us, it's your programs look welcoming. And I think this is something, and they look safe, which is another thing that when I was younger, I was looking for. I was really looking for a place that would teach me how to, navigate life without really telling me, oh, you got to follow these steps, but engaging me into something that was meaningful. And also, like, as you mentioned, building these connections. And it's really something that from the structure that you just showed us, it really shows it's really in there. It's in the core of what you guys are doing. So thank you. This is an amazing, amazing work. Really.
Thank you. I think oh, you go ahead.
No, you go, please.
I was just going to say, the reason I've been working here for so long, one of the things that I love is just the willingness to change. As youth change, as technology changes, interests change, different organizations change, and we really do pride ourselves on adapting. We have to stay relevant. We have to be flexible. Like, we used to use Facebook group messenger to contact everybody. And now, we're all on our phones. We're using Discord because that's what the volunteers are using. And that's fine. I think we really do a good job here of staying focused on the purpose, which is just that youth matter and they want to make a difference. And we're going to help them do that.
That's really amazing. And thank you for sharing. Talking about flexibility and change, I really want to know more about what are your next steps, like what you're thinking for the near future.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, there's always so much going on for us in Canada. Our school is from September right until June. So everybody's kind of coming off of that winter break. So I think people are just getting back into it. But our programs, so some of the other ones that I hadn't mentioned, they really dig in the spring. So one of the programs that I still coordinate, even though I help with communications and fundraising, is called the Calgary Youth Foundation. They're really special to my heart, so that I'm going to choose to talk about them. But this program is also one of our oldest. And the really cool thing is that this is a critically thinking group of young people who get to learn about philanthropy in a really hands-on way. So what they do is they actually get to grant out over $12,000 every year to other youth-initiated projects. So they're volunteering to join the committee. There's 12 of them. They range in age from 12 to 18. And what they do is they promote all of these different grant cycles during the course of the school year. And as those grant applications come in, they review them as a group. They interview the applicants and they decide who gets money and how much, which is really great. It's something that I just don't think very many youth get an opportunity to do, to be the decision makers, to be on the other side of the table, the one that's doing the interview. So for them, they're actually working on, they just got through a recent grant cycle where they'll have to meet tonight to award $2,500 to a few different projects that are environmentally focused in Calgary. So that'll be really great. And then the other side of their program is that they have to learn about the other side of philanthropy, which is fundraising. So they are also working on a presentation for prospective donors who might be interested in supporting the longevity of a program like the Youth Foundation. So they will actually be working on that. And then this spring, they'll be delivering that presentation to some donors, potential donors, to get real life experience, right, on what it is like to look into somebody, to develop that ask, to present, the value of the work that you're doing. And I'm excited because this group of volunteers, half of them were on the program last year, and they successfully raised over $12,000, which is huge for us. That's huge for a group of young people. So we'll see where they get this year. One of the other programs that we're really looking forward to seeing how it comes together is called the Calgary Cinderella Project. So the Calgary Cinderella Project It used to be held under our local education for a lot of years, and then they weren't able to keep it. So it came to Youth Central. But it came to us right when the pandemic hit. So everything looked different. But essentially what it is it's a program where we fit graduates with formal attire to attend their high school graduation so that they can graduate with dignity. Not everybody, has the same access to things that many of us think, it's just a life stage. And it's still a really big deal. And graduating high school, we all remember graduating high school. It's a small chapter of your life, but it really sits with you. So this program is just kind of going through the final stages of what they're getting ready. It takes place in March. We have tons of amazing volunteers who come in and they day of help the graduates. We have so many dresses and accessories for youth to have a look at and decide and pick what they get to wear. It takes place in March, mid-March, and it's a 2-day event where everybody gets fitted. I think right now they're reaching out for more graduates to join the program because there's still spaces available. We're filming in January, so there's a bit more time. But one of the things that they are still looking for is dresses that are more modest, that are long sleeves, dresses that are below size 2 or above size 14, because we do have many, different bodies coming to us, and everybody deserves to feel really special, particularly if those dresses are, less than 5 years old. So that's my little plug. But this Calgary Cinderella project is really special. Last year, I think that they supported over 120 graduates, to make that day special.
I think this is a beautiful project, and it touches, as you said, it's something quite symbolic, I would say, right? It's a precious moment. I think we all cherish it. So the fact that you were able to help these kids to have that moment for themselves, it's really amazing. And I do hope that our audience finds their way to you and get more involved in this. And back. Well, we tried to cover a little bit of the programs that you guys have, right, Michelle, here today. But I tell everyone listening or watching us right now to go to your page, which is youthcentral.com. Then you can get a better overview of what they're doing, know more about the programs and get involved. And with that in mind, Michelle, I'm going to ask you, what are the best ways for people to help you keep going?
The best way, honestly, would be to go to our page and check the donation page. We feel weird to say it, but just to give you some context, back in January of 2020, we had 422 youth registered, and today we have 1,633. So the demand for proactive, pro-social services outside of school hours is just through the roof. And we are so happy to see that. And we want to definitely be able to welcome all of those youth from all of the different areas of the city to our programs. And one of the things that we really need is just to be able to ratchet up that capacity. So if you're interested, if you see the value in empowering that next generation of young people in our community, please consider going to our donation page and having a look. Every little bit helps. As I mentioned, we're really trying to be sustainable and teach that next generation so that they can go on and be, civically minded community builders, and who knows which community they'll land in.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you and learn more about the work that Youth Center is doing.
Thank you so much. I wanted to just share one other thing, which is that, even if you're not located in Calgary or you're not in Alberta, if you work with youth, if you are passionate about working with youth and you want to reach out to connect, we would love to connect with you. We're always looking to build that network. We've been doing what we do for a long time, and that we love to share, what we know, and we'd love to learn if there's something that you're doing that has really been a great fit. So you can find our contact information at youthcentral.com. And we would love to just share in empowering youth and get better connected.
That's wonderful. And I do hope people get in touch. And we are going to make sure to add the link to your page as well on the description of this episode so people can easily find you guys. You know, there will be no excuses to getting in touch.
Thank you.
And for everyone watching or listening, also, thank you so much for staying with us for one more episode. And remember, if you enjoyed it, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation and more people can learn about the importance of Youth Central. Bye. Get in touch with them if you feel like you can help or if you just want to know more. And I see you in the next episode.